you got a question or a story to tell, from the smallest town. If you got a question or a story to tell, from the smallest town to the big city belle.
All right. Welcome again to the Ready Room. We got a fantastic guest for you guys today. Appreciate anyone that's got any questions. As always, we got Jamie hanging out on the end line. He's our resident commentator, question taker, and just general good dude American. So feel free to hit up Jamie with any questions you have. He'll pass them on to us, and we'll get to them as best we can. Good dude American. So feel free to hit up Jamie with any questions you have. He'll pass them on to us, and we got some feedback, but that's all right. Hey, we're still learning, right? We're still learning.
Still learning.
This isn't our day job. You know, we take it one day at a time. We figure out things as they come along. So thanks for being patient with us, guys. Each time we learn something new.
Yep.
We get a little bit better.
That's what counts.
But it takes a lot of times because in one of the units I was in, they'd say, all right, Norris, you can learn two ways. Blunt force trauma or 1,000 repetitions. And in special cases like yours, it takes both. So I'm accustomed to it. But guys, we got Laura Gross here with us today. She is the Searcy County Election Commissioner, and you're the lead commissioner, correct?
They call it chairman.
The chairman of the commissioner. And she's a fantastic human being. I've gotten to know her quite well over the past 6-7 months, something like that. About that time. And so she is currently serving in her second term as chairman of the Searcy County Election Commission. And she's not just talking about change, she's living it. She's experiencing it, all the growth and all the challenges that come with that. But under her leadership, Searcy County became one of the first in Arkansas to return to paper ballots, to the roots of American voting, hand-marked and hand-counted paper ballots. Since 2023, she's overseen two such elections, right?
Well, we've had 4 elections if you count a major school election, and then we had a big city election.
Right.
But then that would be the primary and the general in 24.
So that was 4 elections. Proving that transparency and trust can go hand in hand with rural counties.
Absolutely.
But her leadership doesn't stop there at the ballot box. You're a devoted mom, proud grandmother of 4, and you run a beautiful farm in Searcy County with 20 cows, 1 very big dog, and a heart full of grace, grit, and common sense.
Hopefully.
So that's a lot for you to be handling there.
Yeah, that's what I do in my spare time.
Oh, your spare time.
Because, life is busy.
Life gets real busy. It gets away from us real quick.
It does.
How are those grandkids doing?
They are awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, grandkids are great.
They keeping you busy too?
They come to see me. Because I live on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
We have a creek on the farm. So I get to see them a lot during the winter.
Really?
Because they just come to get in the creek. I mean, the summer, because they come to get in the creek, right?
Yeah.
In the winter, less so, until it snows. Then I get them again. No, they just live down the road, so I see them all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's the goal. One of my things you've heard me talk about too is creating that generational wealth.
Right.
So, because selfishly, I want the same. I want what you got right now, because that's true wealth.
Yeah. Our farm was my grandmother's farm, my great-grandmother, then my grandmother. So my grandkids are the 6th generation.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. And we should get government out of the way so that you don't have to worry about taxes.
Boy, that'd be nice.
The death tax was it killed a lot of farms.
It did.
Killed a lot of farms unnecessarily. And that's definitely one of my goals. But we're not here to talk tonight about business. We're here to talk about elections because you got some experience.
I've got a little bit of experience in one small area.
Right. But you did experience some machine voting.
Well, every county in Arkansas will use machines right now because of the requirements for meeting the American Disabilities Act, ADA requirements. So we'll have a machine at every polling place.
By law?
By law.
Okay. And we discussed some of the stuff about that, the nuances about that, and that puts an unnecessary added expense to counties like you that
it does. Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more to us, how that affects you?
Well, we use machines that are provided and are supported by and are programmed by ES&S. That's the company. It's the largest voting machine provider in our country. They provide about 50% of the machines used in this country for voting. Dominion's after that. A lot of people know Dominion because of the lawsuits and all that sort of a thing. But ES&S does charge a lot of money to do the programming for the machines. And if you have to use one machine, you have to have a lot of programming because they have to map out all of your ballots for all of your precincts. The machine has to be programmed for any ballot that could be used in the county. And that is a very large expense.
On average?
There's just no way to say. I would, because our county is so small, it won't relate to a larger county because the more machines you use, the more ballots are voted, the more the expense.
Okay.
And so
it's a tiered system?
It's based on numbers, like pretty much everything else. So we spent about $8,000 with the ES&S in the general in 24.
Okay. And it was, and that was just for the handicap compliance?
Yes.
But there's other ways to do that without using a machine and being compliant with federal ADA requirements.
There are, unfortunately, in Arkansas right now, the law requires us to use the ES&S machines. Okay. We have a lot of laws that force counties into spending more money than they need to spend. Right. And I'm hoping that people around the state are beginning to look at some of those laws and say, wait a minute, if we have, especially these smaller rural counties, if we weren't saddled, it's like one of our JPs said the other day, it looks like we're paying for 2 elections. We're paying to have the machines programmed, and we're paying for paper ballots. And in a way, he's right. Yes.
And it's unnecessary.
It really is because there are alternatives.
Yeah, but if the requirement is for them to vote, right, and do their vote that way, and you can meet that requirement, why are they specifying one company, one machine?
Oh, well, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, it kind of seems like a conflict of interest, right? Because when I was in the military, anytime that I went out to procure anything through procurement, if it was not in the GSA, the General Service Administration or whatever, if it was not in there with an NSN, a national stock number, then I had to go out and get bids. Mandatory. Right. And the federal government put restrictions on the Army. If there was a local provider, we had to give them first opportunity. Right. That was the law. But we didn't have to pick the local provider. We could still do the 3 bids. For example, building materials. And so when we were in Texas, obviously you have Home Depot, Lowe's, and typically you have a bunch of other local ones and stuff that are out there. And so there's ways that you can wheel and deal that, but let's say that you picked one local provider and then you went to Lowe's and Home Depot. Well, they're going to be cheaper, and the commander could say, hey, we gave them first opportunity, but these are cheaper, it's the same quality materials. We're not being good custodian of taxpayer funds if we use the local provider. Where what I would do is I'd go out to 3 local providers. I got my 3 bids, right? Because I wanted to support the local economy and still filled the requirement. But you still have that choice and competition that you got to meet. So I don't understand why the state wouldn't at the same time reach out. And this bothers me about the machines too. It seems like our state doesn't run the elections. A private company runs them.
A private company that is headquartered in another state because it's not an Arkansas company. Right. And what's interesting is if you look at the regulations for counties, to just like what you were talking about, counties are required to seek bids. And as a matter of fact, we got in trouble because we didn't go look at a lot of bids when we were renting some equipment. We didn't know that was required. We had a good deal, and we thought that was important, right?
It's kind of hypocritical, right? If the state doesn't have to do it.
But the state didn't do it. And so it is quite interesting.
And you let the state know what you were doing.
Sure, the state knew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They didn't say anything in the
primary.
You
were being transparent.
Right.
You were following the law as you knew it.
Yeah.
And the state's not meeting their own requirements.
No, ES&S is one of the most expensive companies, from what I understand. I'm not an expert on machines. There are people who could talk about that a lot with a lot more depth and breadth than I can.
Right.
But the reality is that this is a private company that hide their ownership. There's no way you can find out who owns this company.
I know. I've tried.
Yeah. It's very well hidden. You have to wonder why. Why do they want to hide their... What if ownership is foreign or partially foreign? We don't know. And that's the thing. It may not be, right? But we don't know. And I would love to see the responsibility for providing what we need for elections go to an Arkansas company. And it could be done in Arkansas.
I don't think it should be a private company, though. I think because you can't FOIA a private company.
Well, that's true.
So if you're going to conduct public business, especially in elections, which is like,
right.
To me, it's like the most sacred thing we have. I mean, we fought, humanity has fought wars upon wars about this.
Right.
Many people have died for it. It's a sacred right.
It is.
So that means, to me, the state should own everything. If they're going to use machines, the state should own everything. So it's subject to FOIA. And then they can open it up and we can see the election and know how everything was taken. But also, to me, all the components should be manufactured inside the United States.
Agreed. Totally.
With full knowledge. And then they must meet the highest level of cybersecurity in the world, which is the DoD cybersecurity standard. So if it's good enough for our nuclear arsenal, then it's good enough for a vote. And to me, our vote is worth more
Absolutely.
than that. So we should be using the best known possible, but we don't have that. We have no real security. In fact, the company audits themselves
right.
on the security protocols they have. They're allowed to use removable media storage devices, USB sticks,
That's right.
known. You are not allowed to do that in the federal government because of the sheer amount of vulnerabilities.
Right.
You can think of it as like having all the windows and doors in your house. If you just lock one, you still got a problem. If you lock all of them but one, you still got a problem.
Yeah.
If you lock all of them but you leave the key outside, you still have a vulnerability. If you lock all of them, you leave the key outside, and then you give a friend a key, you have another vulnerability. That's what a USB stick, it just amplifies
Yes,
all along the way. And then you add in that you have the EPO book access. Then you have the ballot marking device access, which is another medium. It's another computer. And then you have the tabulator, which is another computer, another medium. And that USB stick goes to all of them. And I know in some counties, the county IT guy will take the USB stick home even.
Right.
Because there's no rules on it. There's no laws on it.
There's no rules. There's no laws. And the problem is you get those USB sticks from ES&S. You do not know what's on those sticks. I don't really understand cybersecurity, but I do know this. I'm really careful with my home computer. I'm very careful. I pay for a lot of protection on it.
You have to.
I don't put unknown devices on where I don't know where they came from. Because I need my computer. I don't want it to go down.
Right.
And it has been proven by I would say the world's foremost cybersecurity experts that these machines are not, they're not secure in any way.
And that's Dr. Andrew Appel.
Well, he's one of them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And there's multiples that have echoed that.
Yeah.
We know it. Anyone that has any knowledge of computer systems at all, they know that the tiered level that you have to have actual security.
Right.
Like in the Department of Defense, I worked in a SCIF before. To enter the building of the SCIF, I had to have what's called a real ID. Right back then, this was before real ID was, and it was a chip and pin. So I had to have an individual pin to get into the door. Then I had to show my identification and a separate identification showing that I'm cleared to enter this facility.
Wow.
And then I have to have a chip and pin to enter the second door. And that's when you're scanned for any kind of devices, a smartwatch, a cell phone, or anything. None of it can go in there. And then when you went to your workstation, you had a chip and pin again that's individually to you to access your drive, right? There's no removable media, there's nothing, and that internet line is a secret specific line for something else. You can't access your Gmail on it. And all of that just to access a secret email that doesn't really have a whole lot on it, but they take it that seriously.
Right.
And then here we are with our vote, sending, do they mail the USB drives?
They mail them.
So that's another point.
Right.
Somebody could intercept those USB sticks in the mail easily, and
Right.
you don't know.
And sabotage them and then send them on.
Are they encrypted? Can you put them in any computer and they work?
I've never put them in anything except for the machines.
Okay.
Right, because we program the express vote machines with those drives. And then our clerk handles the poll books.
Okay.
So that's in the clerk's office.
Right.
We actually in our county for the last 2 years, we have used paper poll books.
Okay.
Now we have a new clerk, so I suspect we're going to be using at least in early voting, we're going to be using the new e-poll books.
Okay.
But we will always have, and it's actually a requirement of the law to have a backup of your poll book. So we will always have a paper backup.
Okay.
Because you never know
No.
what's going to happen to your e-poll books. And we have had lots of problems with the e-poll books we have now are new, that came out last year. But the ones that we had before that, we had election mornings, where we couldn't vote people right away because the e-poll books just wouldn't work right.
And you have to recalibrate them quite often too, right?
Yes,
because they're not designed for mass use like that. They were all of them were actually designed for ADA.
That's all that the express votes were designed for.
Right.
Is for ADA, just for Americans with disabilities. They were never meant for mass use.
And that's why you have to recalibrate them so often. Because they weren't designed for the amount of use that they're getting. I also find it very hypocritical that the state is willing to allow an out-of-state organization to run our elections. Effectively, that's what's happening. And if you're in office or running for office, you're allowed to take out-of-state donations. But yet, if you want to have some petition knockers across the state, they can't be from out of state.
No.
You know, it seems like over and over again, when the rules of the game don't fit them, they just change the rules.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is that, so my involvement with elections on this level is only 3 years old.
Yeah. Well, you got tossed in the frying pan.
We did. We had no idea. And, but hey, it takes that, right? To break down gates and to open some pathways, that have been grown up for a while.
One of the things that I really enjoyed listening to you say was how you didn't know anything about paper ballots and you thought the machines were fine when you first came in until you got educated on it. Like, you did the work to educate yourself on it. And that's when you were kind of like,
Look, I like machines. Machines are very, they're easy. They don't require a lot of work because they do all the thinking for you, supposedly. And so they're convenient.
Yeah.
And so the first year that I worked elections was 22, and we used the machines in our county then. And I remember thinking, I was a new coordinator there for the county. And I remember thinking, this is not too hard. It's kind of like, it's not rocket science. And then when our JP said, we're interested in looking into the possibility of going to hand count paper ballots. And they put together
it was your quorum court.
It's our quorum court, because in this state, the quorum court decides. It's not the commissioners. The quorum court decides. And they said, we just want to look into it. So we want to form a committee. And I was on the committee of 6, and we started looking into it. And I was really on the fence, because I think anyone who's really thinking is going to be suspicious of computers that are not extremely secure. Like you just talked about, all these checkpoints, all these security points, just machines sitting out there in the middle of a big room, people walking by them. You've got ES&S technicians that come in and they're putting sticks in them, and they're doing this and that. And
they can do that at any time.
Yes, they can.
And there's nothing you guys can say about them, because that's part of the contract, right?
That's part of the contract, as far as I understand.
And there's the vetting process for them is done by the company.
Yes, they work for the company. They don't
Does the
work
state
for the
do any vetting of
I have no idea.
each individual? That would be interesting. Because
it would be.
To me, Like, I know you have to have some vetting for everyone that's around the
Absolutely.
election. They have to go through training. You have to certify them, correct?
Yes, they have to swear an oath.
They can only go to certain spots. In fact, that was one of the things in the meeting about some of the people there maybe not swearing an oath.
Anybody who worked.
Right, but the commissioners in that board
They wanted to know if they had taken the
So
oath.
that's a sticking point with them.
Sure. And it should be. It should be. It's important.
But is the ES&S people doing it?
I have no idea.
I mean, to me,
question.
they have a lot more potential influence on an election and the workings of it than someone just watching people.
Dr. Appel explained that you can, with very little effort, put a program into one of these express vote machines that, I can't remember the words he used for it, but like a sleeper program.
Yeah.
Kind of like a sleeper cell in a way. And so when you do your logic and accuracy testing, the machines will work perfectly. They will work the way that they're supposed to work. But then the sleeper program will become active election day. And we all have had programs that start at a certain time, whether it's a certain time of day or whether it's, on a certain date or whatever.
Well, it has a calendar. It's a computer.
Sure. When it's been off for months and months and you turn it on, it knows what day it is and it knows what time it is.
Yep.
And so that's what Dr. Appel explained. He said, you cannot detect these types of embedded programs. So a couple of months ago, I don't remember exactly, sometime during the summer, we had the guy that was sent, I'm assuming he was an ES&S technician, but the Secretary of State sends him out to the county to service the machines to get ready for the next election. They clean them up from the previous election, make sure all of that is zeroed out. And then if any, and machines get a lot of use. And so, they have to be fixed. There are components.
Standard maintenance.
Exactly. Standard maintenance and fixing. And he came in, and so we have 24 express vote machines. We don't use them all because we have paper ballots, but that's how many we have in our county. And we have 12 of the tabulators, the DS200s. And so he came in and he says, now I'm going to go through each one of these. It took him hours and hours. Most of the day he was with our machines. I don't know what he did. I mean, there's no way for me to know what he did with those machines. I'm sure everything he did was on the up and up, right? But it didn't have to be. It's very possible for him to have, because he was putting his, what are those little things called?
USB sticks.
The USB sticks in each one, and doing whatever he did with them. I don't know what he was doing with them. So, what a lot of people don't understand, because look, there was paper ballots. There are a lot of stories about paper ballots too. I mean, in our county, I have heard the story about, the ballot box floating down the river.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even tell you how
Somebody
many times.
dies and they go to their attic and they find like 12 cases of ballots.
Right. And I mean, I guess everybody knew there was a family in our county that, grandma and everybody else would be stuffed in a ballot box with the ballots they wanted. So when the election was closed, they'd drive by and they just exchange ballot boxes. I mean, that stuff happened.
Yeah, it did.
So you can understand why people are concerned about the security of paper ballots. What amazes me is that they're so concerned about the security of paper ballots, but they're not at all concerned about the security of these machines that have computers in them that have no security measures whatsoever.
I think some are, and I always try. I've tried a whole lot here recently to view the issue from the eyes of my opponent. Right. Reading Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? That's one of his big things. Always try to see the issue from the eyes of your opponent on it, right?
Sure.
And I've been really focusing on that because I do want to understand. I don't want to be off-putting. I don't want to seem mean.
Right.
I want to meet you where you're at, and we can have clarity. We can disagree, but we can have clarity of each other's position. And so what I've started doing is I've found that people in IT and younger people hate the machines.
Really? That's interesting.
They hate them because their generation experienced the same thing with paper ballots, but with machines.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Georgia,
Sure.
Pennsylvania, Arizona, it was on the news constantly and all that stuff. So that's their point of reference. And when I talk to older people, I say, I got it. I understand. I know what you're talking about. But try to understand where we come from too. Let's meet in the middle. We have not experienced that issue with paper ballots. I think my first election was with paper ballots. But after that, it was all machines, and then it was absentee voting overseas because that's where I was. But so our point of reference is the issues with machines.
Right.
Your point of reference is the issues with paper ballots. So I sympathize and I agree, but try to understand we're coming at it from the same problem, just from a different viewpoint.
It's the same concern.
Same concern.
And we're in a unique position now, though, here in 2025, in that we have the basic security of paper ballots not...
What President Trump calls secure paper.
Secure paper that is auditable, because you absolutely, with a hand-marked paper ballot, you know what the voter intended. There's no doubt about what the voter intended. But we also have the technology to add a whole nother layer of security to a paper ballot election.
Yep.
The cameras, the checking in, the checking out. Our ballots never leave our sight. From the time they come out of the vault, we always have a minimum of 2 people with our ballots.
Right.
And sometimes many more than that, because we have people who volunteer to watch the ballots go someplace and they follow in a different car. Like you would have to involve a lot of people if you wanted to cheat on our paper ballot election. And
you could even do more.
There's a lot you can do.
We put RFID in our money.
Right.
So it can't be that expensive.
Yeah.
And then you can track it, right, on those notes.
And we've talked about the putting the tracker devices, I don't remember what they're called, in our
RFID?
ballot boxes.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're little things you just drop in the ballot box, and they're locked.
Yep.
Nobody can get inside. And we've actually looked into that, and we'll probably, look into it further.
They're not expensive.
They're not expensive.
No.
And if we can get some laws changed so that we can start hand counting at the polling location, which a lot of other states do. Right now in Arkansas, we cannot open a ballot box until 7:30 on Tuesday night. Right? You can't open the ballot box for early voting. So no counting happens until after 7:30 election night.
How do you feel about single day voting?
I love it. I think it's a great idea. And the biggest reason I think it's a good idea is because I know how much early voting costs a county.
Yep.
It's a horrible, horrible amount of money for a county. And I think we should have it. It should be a holiday.
Yes.
Right. And then I think we ought to, there are Texas counties that I've been talking to somebody down in Texas, and after they've had the polls open for 2 hours, then they keep 2 ballot boxes at each polling place. So they can get the ballot box that's currently being used and start counting those ballots after 2 hours. And then they can go get the other ballot box and count those ballots, and they count all day long. And so, it's not long after 7:30 when the polls close that they've got to count for that polling place.
That'd probably help you with volunteers too, wouldn't it?
It would help a lot. We've got enough counters in our county to deploy them to the polling places if we were allowed to do that. And all you have to do is have a camera right on that place, and it's got to be open where your poll workers can see it, and anybody who wants to be a poll watcher can watch the fact. Now they can't get within 6 feet of the ballots. But you've got your counting table there, so you've got a camera, so you can from our central location, we could see what's happening with those cameras in all of our polling places.
And so could other people if they wanted.
And so could other people if they wanted. And there's just, with technology, it secures paper ballots in a way they've never been secured before.
Right.
And somebody was explaining to me when I was first looking into paper ballots versus express votes, machines. And they said, someone who's really, really, really committed might find a way to cheat with paper ballots. And if they do, they could impact their local election in their county. But if they're not going to affect a statewide location, a statewide race, and they're definitely not going to impact a federal race. But with the computers that are in these voting machines,
it's opposite. They can affect
It's the
everything.
opposite. They could literally affect an entire state or even an entire country.
And Dr. Andrew Pell said that in Arkansas, they would only need to influence 6 counties, and only 20% of those 6 counties. And every statewide race
That's
could
right,
be managed.
to control it. Yeah.
Completely controlled. Well, if you extrapolate that to the nation, to me, it kind of makes sense why our federally elected officials don't fear the ballot box. They don't seem to me.
No.
Right. Well, I'm always puzzled, like with the omnibuses and the Patriot Act. I think the Patriot Act was above 90% disapproval rating, but yet it gets voted right back in. That means that you don't fear the people back home.
Right.
And you keep doing omnibuses every time, when that's the last I saw was above 80% disapproval rating nationwide.
Right.
That's not a reflective government. It's not
I don't know if it reflects the voter apathy, that they know that, voter turnout is only, 25 to 45%.
Well, I think it's because they don't trust the process.
Well,
a lot of them.
That's what we were told in our county. When we started talking to people
here.
in the county, we talked to, did you vote in the last election? No. Why not? I don't trust those machines.
I got told the same thing when I was walking around.
We heard that time after time. We never had anybody say, I don't trust those paper ballots. Nobody said that.
Well, I watched the video that you guys did, and you had local citizens coming out, and they were just elated at the process.
They loved it.
They loved it. And they loved that they could see it. And I watched the video today about Taiwan. Have you seen that before, about
No,
how
I
they do
haven't
they
seen
do paper ballots strictly?
Well, a lot of countries do.
Well, you know why they say they do it in Taiwan, though? It's because they keep China out.
Oh, interesting.
But yet we manufacture our components from China.
That's all of our voting machines. The inner workings of those machines are made in China.
And there's a law that says you can't have foreign-made components.
A new law.
In
the new
critical
certifications,
infrastructure.
the 2.0 certifications. And
So we're
our
not
machines,
compliant with
we're
federal
not
law.
compliant with the new
Have you heard anything from the current Secretary of State's office?
I've heard nothing.
Are they planning? I know there was a FOIA done, and I believe they said, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, I believe they said, Co-Jester said, I'm afraid we're looking at a paper ballot election in 26 from the FOIA. So that means that he's aware of it. They're aware of it, and they know it's an eventuality. So I take issue twofold. Well, as a leader, you have a duty and a responsibility to ensure that your people are trained, equipped, and prepared to complete the tasks that you set before them. That onus is on you as the leader.
Right.
And to me, the Secretary of State is the leader of elections in Arkansas.
Yes, that's true.
So you have a duty. And two, you have a duty to prepare for any eventuality.
Right.
If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. It is what it is. If me knowing that there was an opportunity for something to happen, and I'm in charge of these people, and I don't prepare them for that event, and then it takes place, I have set them up for failure.
Is that the plan?
If that's the plan, then some people need to go to jail.
I agree. Totally.
Because you should never put chaos on the American people.
Never,
And that
ever.
is what would
Especially with
happen.
elections.
That's what would happen.
Especially with elections. Paper ballots are not hard. A lot of the difficulty with paper ballots is because of laws that we have to conform to that don't have anything to do with paper ballots. Okay.
You know, what
But-
Ronald Reagan say?
I don't know.
I'm here from the government. I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
That's the 5 most dangerous words to an American citizen.
Well, the thing is that it takes a while to learn how to do it. It's not hard,
Mm-hmm.
but we held practice sessions. The first time we had our counters in and sat them down and said, here's how you're going to count the ballots. You're going to hand count our paper ballots. The first night, it was crazy. It was chaos. They were frustrated. Well, by the second night, they had the hang of it and they felt pretty good about it. And by the third practice, they felt like pros. But if you had taken them that first night, they would have said it can't be done.
Right.
So there is a
Crawl, walk, run.
yes. You need some time if you're going to be using paper ballots
true
to
with
prepare
everything,
your
though.
people.
You're not an expert on day one on anything.
Right.
You have to learn the process and figure it out, and you refine it and you get better. And if you don't just identify lessons, if you actually learn from them, you get better every time.
Right.
And you build that knowledge repository for those that come behind you to pick up the ball and run with it. So if something happens to you, God forbid, the person that assumed that office would have all that knowledge base to run through from all your lessons learned and everything you've done. I mean, to me, that's just good stewardship of your position.
We're documenting it. We're putting everything in a handbook so that the commissioners who follow us will not have to go through that learning curve.
Look at you.
That we did. And, and we made some mistakes in our primary. We missed 8 votes. They didn't get brought all the way through. Fortunately, it was a race that was won by thousands and thousands of votes. We're really happy about that. But we were horrified because we were so intent, on just doing a perfect job.
And you care.
It mattered to us very much so because all of us on our team, we consider elections to be one of the most important things that happens in our country. If we don't get our elections right, nothing else is going to be right.
Nothing matters.
I mean, that's where it starts, right there at the local level. And a lot of people don't realize that if you get your local elections right, if they're secure, if you can guarantee that they're secure, and you have enough people involved that are watching, they're at the polls, they're working the polls, they're counting the ballots, they're watching the ballots being transported, right? That's where every single individual can contribute the absolute best involvement in this country, in this government that we have.
And I think I can help them out as Secretary of State.
Right.
And here's my idea on it. We have civil duty like jury duty. And one of the reasons why people tell me they didn't volunteer is because they didn't want to take vacation time.
Right.
And they couldn't miss work. They would, for fear of being fired, which makes sense.
Sure.
But if you make that a protected duty and they get called up for it,
that's a great idea.
and you give them a little bit of compensation like a juror, well, then that excuse is taken away, right? Like you're performing a civic function, we're protecting you, just like the National Guard. If they get called up for duty, you can't fire them. So why wouldn't we do that for our election workers and protect them? Yeah. And it would open up the pool to a lot of people.
And there are a lot of people that want to very badly, but they can't for that reason.
But they can't for that reason. So let's clear that obstacle for them. To me, that's just common sense.
Right.
And then securing the process anymore, I've been thinking it through my head about what that would look like. And I'd like to run it by you and get your opinion on it, someone that's dealt with it. And so all of the ballots, maybe they're all centrally stored at the Secretary of State's office and identified by the county. Or would you rather them be printed at the county and maintained at the county?
I feel like they should be printed and maintained at the county. I would love to bring that money home to my county.
Okay.
We have a printer in our county.
Okay.
And if we don't have a printer that can print the secure paper ballots, because there is a process in printing the secure paper, right? If we don't have one in our county, we're very, very rural county. The next county over would.
Yep.
And I feel like the money that we spend on those elections should be kept in the county as much as possible.
Okay. So let's give it to the counties then. Let's walk through that. What I would like to see is every county has a unique seal.
Yes.
And then state troopers have a unique seal. And the state troopers are the ones that will transport your ballots for you to and fro. And why? They have body cameras.
Right.
And they have to be on and be recorded. And there has to be 2 state troopers in every car. So they do the transportation for you. They own that piece. They're already in the county. And unless there's some kind of natural disaster or significant event, they're going to be available. Right. I mean, what else are they doing? Besides patrolling the
streets. That would probably say they're doing a lot.
I know they're doing a lot, but that won't take that much of their time. Yeah. They're literally just transporting it and they have the body cameras already. So again, chain of custody that's provable and verifiable, right? And the unique seals allows you to say, all right, I'm sealing this one, trooper's sealing this one. Then when it gets to the drop-off point, that precinct, whoever the leader, could say, all right, that's my county seal. State troopers, at your seal? Yep. Well, now we'll bust them, right? Knowing that nothing was done. And then count them at those locations to get a quick count, single day voting. And then when they're done, just reverse the process all the way back to you and then still sealed, transport them up to the Secretary of State's office, and then we store them and we keep them for a certain number of years so that we can always go back through them. I don't know, maybe 7 years. Maybe if it's good enough for the IRS, it's good enough for us.
Right now we keep them for 2 years.
Or 2 years. Or the term of an election, longest one, 4 years. Let's say 4 years. And in that way, if you got to go back and check something it's there and it's available, and you can still verify the seals that they haven't been broken.
Right.
They're unique to every county. And before you can bust the seal, you got to bring up the people from that county to do it.
Yeah.
But everywhere the ballots goes, there has to be a camera.
I
It's
agree.
recording. The entryway, the room, the vault, the way back, and it all needs to be kept, and it all needs to be allowed to be foyable and made available to the public
Right.
at any point in time. So no one, and the counting process too, the entire time. I think the counting process should be live streamed.
Well,
With the cameras.
we tried to do that. We got in a lot of trouble for it.
I mean, what better way to show everyone?
Right. You could watch us. You could watch us count. You could see the ballots. You could count.
You get a
could
front row
tabulate with
view.
us. You could tally them with us.
Right there on your phone.
What you're describing is with paper, you can find a way to be completely secure. But now we're comparing, right? So with the machine, because of everything that we've already talked about, you know, what's on those sticks, what's, you know, what's hidden, you know, programming, what is even actually in some cases sent to those machines via Wi-Fi, because some of them do have Wi-Fi receivers. You know, Wi-Fi can speak to them. So you can't see it. There's no way you can detect it. There's no way you can test for it. But you don't have that problem with paper because it's there, physical. You can tie it down just like you can, you know, secure it just like you've talked about.
And you can easily serialize them as well. And that still provides anonymity. But what it would do is, like, you can say, all right, Searcy County, you have 10,000 registered voters. So you can only print 10,000 ballots plus 10% for error.
Right.
And that's your serial numbers. If you go over that, we got a problem. And when you turn those into the state, all 10,000 plus 10% must be accounted for.
Absolutely.
Even the
and we
errors.
do that. We developed the paperwork to make sure that we could account. We wanted to know where every single ballot went.
And then you could add a watermark.
Yeah.
That's only known by that county leadership
And that's what we have.
and the Secretary of State.
On our ballots.
See?
That's what we have already. We
And I think
developed
that should be made available to the Secretary of State about 3 days before, so that everyone knows from every county. Report
Well, right
your
now,
watermark.
Secretary of State doesn't handle our ballots at all, ever.
Ever. You keep them.
They stay at the county level.
Do you think that's better than bringing them up to the central location for repository?
I think that after the election is certified and secured, I don't see a problem with the county keeping the ballots. I cannot imagine all those ballots going to a central. I don't know. You'd have to have a pretty big warehouse.
Again, going back to what I know on that, and anytime you're the overall responsible party of something, when it's all said and done, it's your responsibility to maintain accountability of it. So I look at it from that lens. If I'm responsible for it and ensuring the fairness, then...
And yet the state does trust the county to run their elections with a certain amount of autonomy. And they trust us supposedly to secure the machines.
Yeah.
Right? And to secure the ballots, both before the election and after the election, whether they're ballots the machine prints out or they're hand-marked ballots.
Which I think that's closest to the people. That's the way it should be.
Exactly. And, you know, we're talking a lot about security, which is so important. That's a question most people have. But there are a lot of other things that people don't realize in the difference between paper ballots and machines. For instance, in early voting in the 24 general, you probably saw a lot of the stories about people at different polling places where they were just huge lines. The polling place couldn't keep up. They ran out of paper. You know, the right paper for some of the machines. So then they couldn't use the machines. Some of the machines broke down, so they couldn't use all the machines. There were actually polling places that closed the doors and people who'd been in line couldn't vote. I mean...
That happened big in Arizona.
It happened in Arizona, but it happened in other places as well. And here's the thing. I mean, our law is if you're in line when the polls close, you vote before you go home. You've stood in line, you've waited. They couldn't accommodate them because machines are horrible expensive. So a county is only going to have so many machines at any location. And if you're even one down, suddenly you're really in trouble. With paper ballots, when we got busy like that, because we were swamped in early voting. We set up another table. You know, we have those trifold privacy. cardboard. We set up another table. Now we can vote 3 more people. We set up another table. At one time we were voting in our little county at early voting. We were voting 12 people at the same time. So we never had really a wait. Nobody was turned away.
So you're only limited by the physical space.
You're only limited by the physical space.
And poll watchers, right? Or is there a ratio for poll watchers to voters?
Poll workers, you mean?
Poll workers?
No.
Okay.
No, we can handle that. And in early voting, I tried to put on more than the minimum poll workers anyway. So no problem. We can handle that. But in the past, we would have had 3 machines at early voting.
And that's it.
We would have had people waiting an hour, 2 hours to vote. And if one of those machines went down, which often one of them would go down, now we've got 2 machines. People are waiting for a long time. I mean, there are so many advantages to paper ballots over machines. Somebody should probably write a paper on that.
I'm writing a book.
Well,
on my experiences, I haven't done a paper ballot election, but I'm writing a book on everything I've learned in the process we went through and endured in Independence County. I think it's important. A lot of people don't realize that Independence County was the first county known in America in which the citizens voted on how their vote would be taken and counted.
Really?
Like your quorum court did it. To our knowledge and everything we can find across the state, we're the only county to do that.
Right.
And we're also the only county named Independence. Which,
kind of interesting.
You got a sense of humor.
So do you know, are your election workers training now to work with the paper ballots?
I have no idea. The last time I saw them was in a Republican committee meeting here in Independence County. And that question was brought up. And all they said was, we are preparing for it. And that's it. And they didn't talk anymore. So I can't get into the specifics with it. And they're not my biggest fan. They despised this whole process.
They did want to do paper ballots.
They didn't want to do it at all.
Well, it is more work for your commissioners and your coordinators. It is initially more work.
That's fine. But what bothered me is, and what really motivated me more and more on it, is they wouldn't even have a conversation about it.
Right.
At all. And I've always operated from this standpoint. Like at the end, if I'm responsible for the decision being made, I'm going to make the decision, and you may not like it, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to sway me fairly.
Right.
And I still get soldiers that used to work for me back in the day, and they'll call me and talk about that. Like, look, I didn't like everything you did, but I knew every time I walked away, I had the opportunity, and I felt like you actually listened to me on it. I think it's important.
It is. But you will not find people engaging you on paper ballots and machines.
No,
especially state people.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It's like a curtain comes down when you're talking to them.
Right.
And it's like, I'm a human being. First of all, I'm a citizen. You work for me. I just want to have a conversation with you about it, an open dialogue. I'm not crazy. I'm not some conspiracy theorist guru dude just running around making up stuff. I'm an educated voter.
Right.
And I want to be. I think that's important. That's my civic responsibility, to be educated on the issues, know the issues, and learn some problems that's with it. Not everything's going to be perfect. Nothing is.
Right.
They would tell us in basic training, you had to lock your stuff every day. And one of the drill sergeants came by one day, and somebody left their lock unlocked. And this guy's stuff was everywhere. They just throw it everywhere. And the drill sergeant holds it up, and he's like, locks are only there to keep honest people honest, right? And I'm an honest guy, but you didn't have it locked up. You made it easy. And that always kind of stuck with me, because it is true.
Yeah.
If it's made by man, it can be broken into by a man or woman. And locks are there to keep honest people honest. It's just a check on it. And we're not doing our due diligence on the locks to verify.
We are not.
We're not. To me, we're failing our Kansans because, one, we're not in compliance with federal law.
Right. And
DNI Tulsi Gabbard really is mentioned in a cabinet meeting that they can prove China has been in our election machines for some time now.
Yeah.
They didn't expand on it. So one, we know the vulnerability is there. We know China is making these components that's going in the machines, and they're not our biggest fans. They're not cheerleading for America. Right. What better way to sow dissension and dissent and chaos than mess with our elections? Right. Or what better way to own the people making the decisions and be able to influence them, right? pretty dark.
It's dark.
And we're not doing anything about it. We're just pretending it's okay.
Yeah.
To me, it's like Pearl Harbor. It's going to happen. That radar that sees the ships and stuff coming, like, you might not understand what's on that machine, but it's suspect. You've gotten the info. China sent you the peace medals back, or Japan sent you the peace medals back. Why aren't you checking everything out to the nth degree? Instead, you bring all the ships into harbor, you take a long 4-day weekend, and you send all the sailors out from port to go downtown Honolulu to have a good time when you know this is looming. Not the best course of action. Yeah, I can see the storm coming, so to speak.
Right. The issue is, and I think it goes back to convenience, because somebody that I know said, with elections, you can have convenience or you can have security.
Yeah.
But you can't have both.
Can't have both.
And I really understand why a lot of people don't want to have this conversation, because the machines are convenient. They're there already. They know how to use them. They cannot go someplace where they admit that those machines are very, very vulnerable.
They get attached to it. Like, it becomes part of their identity, it seems like, with them. They get so tied to it. Maybe they don't want to admit they're...
If they accept that they're really vulnerable, then they have to take action.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, commissioners are paid very, very little.
They are.
It's really, it's community service. And most of them work. They have a real job.
Right.
I have a real job and I have a farm.
Right.
Right. And then I do the commission work. And my fellow commissioners are in the same way. They both work full time, and then they both have farms. Yeah. And they're doing commission work because they love their county.
Yeah.
Because it matters to them.
But that's who we want.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Now you're going to tell us, of course, obviously we made a different decision, but for most people, they're saying, I'm already putting as much time as I've got into this. And besides, I'm not really getting paid for my time anyway. Yeah. And now you're telling me you want me to ditch these nice convenient machines that think for me and add for me, and just you put it in, you pull it out, there we go.
On that, brought up a question I wanted to ask earlier and I left off. Could you explain, a lot of people say that we have paper ballots now with the machines.
Right.
Could you explain how that's actually not a paper ballot? That's a receipt with a barcode that's being read?
Well, I mean, in a way, it's like potato.
Right. Because
it is a piece of paper that does supposedly list what the person voted for. And so here's the deal. They go to everybody knows, you go to the screen, you vote, you push the buttons, and the machine hopefully prints out who you voted for. We know this. Dr. Appel told us they've done the research. About 3 to 5% of the people actually read all the way down. Yep. Now, they may look at the first couple of names. Oh, yeah, I voted for those guys, and now they're done.
He says the average is 2.3 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not carefully reading all of those votes. And if somebody does read it, and this is what we're trained to do, if somebody says, hey, wait a minute, that's not who I voted for, then the poll workers will say, oh, and what they're thinking is, when you push that button, you must have accidentally hit the one below it, right? Because the machine's not going to change your vote, of course. User error. Right? User error. So we're going to spoil this ballot. We're going to give you another ballot. You can vote again. And probably 999 times out of 1,000, the machine then is going to print correctly what they voted for. Here's the thing, though. With that receipt, if you want to call it a receipt, if you want to go back and audit your election, all you're auditing is what the machine printed out. You are not able to audit voter intent. It's impossible.
Yep.
So you don't know how many times the machine, either through user error or because the machine was programmed to flip some votes.
That's a really good point.
You don't know. And so when they tell you all of our audits of machine election are 100%, because machines are always 100% right. No, they're 100% correct on what the machine printed out on those receipts.
Right.
But there is no way to know what the voter intended, period. You can't go back to that. And that's why people call hand-marked ballots auditable ballots. Because you can go back and you can see that voter with that pen marked that spot right there. And, it was in, now I I can't remember the county, and I think it was Ohio, where it was a judge's race. I have all this at home, but I don't keep all the facts in my head. But in that state, you vote yes or no. Is the judge going to serve another term or not? And they had two judges running not against each other. They were both on the ballot, right? Yes or no for this judge, yes or no for that judge. Well, someone who actually reads their receipts from the machine said, hey, wait a minute. That's not what I voted. And they discovered that it was an express vote, same model we have.
Yep. I think this is in New Hampshire.
Could have been. Was if you voted yes, it printed no. If you voted no, it printed yes.
Now, tell them their answer for it.
They said, well, no problem. Just vote. Like if you want to vote yes, vote no. That's what they were telling voters. Because it was either shut down the election. They didn't have backup paper ballots except like maybe 10 or 20 every polling place. Because I think that's one of their state laws. But the point is that if they had not discovered that, right, went through the whole election.
And how many people had already voted?
Right. Then if they went back to audit the tabulation, okay, they would have run them in the tabulators. They would have had the vote count, right? Say next week, they go back to audit. What they're going to audit is what was printed out. Not what the voters voted.
Right.
And it would have been 100% accurate.
Yep.
Because that's what the machine printed out. And so people need to understand that an audit of a machine election, if they're voting on a
ballot marking device.
An audit is always going to be 100% of what the machine printed. It is not 100% of what the voter intended.
Every time.
Every time. There's no way.
And that's why your intention matters when you put that physical mark on it, because there's no mistake in that.
Because nobody can change your vote, because you're the one who marked it on the paper.
And that's why I call it a receipt, because when I go to the grocery store, I don't know what the barcode's reading, but everything that I swing through, it gives me a receipt, and I can look at it real quick, and I can say, okay, yeah, I got all that stuff. But if I go in to check it, it's a barcode they scan. They don't even read what it is I'm doing.
That's right, because that's what they read.
Yeah, and I can take that same receipt and go to another store, and it's going to read the barcode, but it's not going to give them the same printout because the programming is different.
Yeah.
And it's the same when you purchase something. If I purchase a bottle of ketchup at the gas station, I can take that exact same brand, if it's available at Walmart, and that reader will read it, but it'll give me a different price.
Yeah.
Because they're programmed different.
What is even more disturbing about the judges' selection we were just discussing, they told the voters, they said, the tabulator reads the barcode, and the barcode is correct. So the barcode was different from what was printed in English on the receipt. That's just disturbing.
That's very disturbing.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That means there's just so many different ways for ambiguity and you not knowing. Yeah. That's just another
The voter
part
has
of
no
it.
idea.
And I think we deserve better than that.
I absolutely do. And that's why we endured what we've endured for the last 2 years to bring paper ballots, hand-marked, hand-counted paper
We said
ballots.
we weren't going to get into it.
We're not going to get into it.
But you did go through a lot.
If we hadn't had all the extra stuff, just the learning curve, the hours that we spent, like first of all, leading up to the primary, we had to figure out how to count ballots.
Yep.
Nobody taught us. There was nobody to show us.
And there's people in the state that know how to do it. And
but they wouldn't help us.
In Pulaski County.
But the point is that we had that learning curve. We spent hours and hours, and then we had a pretty good election in the primary.
Yes, you did.
But we missed 8 votes. So for us, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because we missed 8 votes. So then all through the summer, we're like brainstorming. How do we develop paperwork to track what happens so we know if votes are being missed?
Right.
And we figured it out. And I told the state, I said, you audit us after the general, I guarantee you will be 100%.
And you
because
were.
we know why we missed those votes now. And we know how to keep from missing those votes in the future. So even if there had not been any trouble with the state, it was still a lot of work. a huge amount of work, but we were excited about it.
Yeah.
It was like, man, we're pioneering some stuff here, you know? And after the general, we had 100% accuracy when we were audited. We were celebrating. We were so excited.
You should be. But also, is there anything more rewarding than doing hard work and seeing a successful outcome?
Not a lot more rewarding than that, really.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what position you are in life. If you actually go out and bust your tail at doing something, and then you sit back and look at it, you can be proud of what you did.
Right.
You know? And I think the elections with the machines take away some of that. You know, because it's the easy button, just press and forget. You get complacent. You're not really into it. You have no connection with it. You know, you're not putting forth any effort. Everything's being done for you. And you're like, okay, all right, put it up, you know.
It was interesting watching, because at Searcy County, we knew that a greater percent, we knew that about 62 or 63% wanted the paper ballots. So that leaves 30 some odd % of people who didn't want paper ballots.
Do you know what our election result was for paper ballots?
68?
63.
63. Okay, so that's about maybe par for the course across the state. And so we knew that there were people that were unhappy. And some of them came into the polling places unhappy.
Yep. Hey, Siri, turn on gym lights. Sorry.
And I'm thinking, oh, they threw the switch. And
easy, China.
Yeah. And so we watched them come. We knew about like some of their body language, like everything. And it was so funny because, just as an example, we had in our quorum court when they voted to go with paper ballots, we had 8 on the quorum court at the time. 6 voted yes, 2 voted no. So at the primary, when we were counting the ballots the next day, one of those JPs who had voted no came in to watch us count. And we asked him, we said, so when you went to vote, did you use, we had one machine, one express vote at each place, supposedly for ADA, but if anybody asked to use it, they could use it, right? We were not required, and we did not say this one or that one because we're a paper ballot county, right? But if someone said, I want to use the machine, they could have voted on the machine, and some of them did. And we asked him, did you vote on the machine? You know, since he voted against paper ballots. He said, no, I voted the paper ballot. And we said, we were surprised. We said, why did you vote the paper ballot? He said, well, it's so much easier.
No.
And that's what we saw over and over again. People came in, they were resistant to the paper ballots. But once they saw how smooth it was and how easy it was, and in a way, it was like they were taking possession. This is my ballot, right? You could see the ownership of just what you were talking about. It was very interesting to watch. We had a lot of people come to us after the election to say, you know, I was really on the fence about it, but having voted a paper ballot election, I'm a believer. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm proud of you.
Well, we're proud of ourselves.
I am. I'm proud of how you guys stood together and it was bipartisan.
Yes. I loved that about from day one when we started looking at paper ballots. The Republicans and the Republican committee and Democrat committee separately said, we support this. And then, you know, we have 2 Republican commissioners and 1 Democrat commissioner. Yeah. And we said right up front, we're a team. We're not wearing those labels. We're a team. And our goal as a team is to have the most secure, the most successful, the most transparent election that we've had in this county so far.
I think you did it.
We feel like we did, but we feel like next year it's going to be even better.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
If I know you, and your team.
Our team.
I mean, the other 2 are not no slackers.
They are not.
I need to get LC in here at some point to balance it out.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, he's a good guy to chat with. Well, Jerry, do we have any questions?
None so far.
None so far. Well, we've been an hour. We can keep going.
Up to you.
You got anything else you want to hit on about?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've really covered it.
I think we did. I think we did a good job, and I think people out there will be pretty educated on it by now. If you got any questions, go ahead and toss them to us later. Like I always do, I'll reach out if it's directed to you and let you answer it. And I'm sure she wouldn't mind it. It may take a little bit of time, but we'll answer your question and get back to you on it. But at the end of the day, this process belongs to the people.
Right.
You should have a say in it. You should take ownership in it. But most importantly, you got to vote.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I started saying to people when I was going around petitioning and knocking on doors, and I would ask that question, well, why don't you vote? And they would say, well, I don't trust the process. And at first I had a hard time answering that. I didn't know how to answer that. And after a few times I sat in my car and Joshua Foss was with me, and I was just kind of thinking through that process. Like, cause to me, it was like a punch in the gut, cause I watched people in Afghanistan get their fingers cut off to vote. Wow. And some even die.
Wow. And
so I'm thinking like, man, I watch people dip their finger and eat, and then they're missing that finger. And then they come back and they dip another one, and some of them are missing 2 and 3 fingers. Wow. And the women, they were brutal on for voting, because that's just, you don't do that over there. And I was like, my own countrymen won't even take an hour out of their day and drive to the courthouse or the polling station and get it done. And so what I started doing is, when I asked that question, if I got that response back, so I'd say, well, do you support vets? Do you support troops? Yeah. Okay, you want to know how you can support me? And all those millions of white crosses around the world, let's go vote.
Good point.
That's the number one thing. You say you support us, go and do what we sacrifice for, because that's chief among everything.
Yes, it is chief.
Because to me, if your elected representatives are going to send your sons and daughters to go and fight and die potentially to preserve our republic, that happens at the ballot box.
It does.
That decision is made there.
Every law, good or bad, starts at the ballot box.
It does. So you have onus in it.
Yeah.
And that's your redress of your grievances. If you don't like the choices that those people made, you fix it at the ballot box. Rally your community, get them together, and go and fix it.
And the other thing that I would say, heading into 26, because so many things are up in the air, we really don't know. It's like you were quoting the Secretary of State saying, I don't know, we may end up having a paper ballot election. For people in their counties, grassroots people, they need to start now gathering people who are willing to count ballots and learn how to do it. You don't have to be a commissioner. You don't have to be a poll worker to learn how to count ballots.
Right.
Be available for your county if at the very last minute they need to count ballots.
Would you be willing to hold a symposium?
Absolutely. And we're already talking about doing that.
So that's something that we could push out and volunteer. Well, I'd be interested in helping you with that.
Yes. And there are people in our county who have worked for elections now counting ballots. They're experts, in my opinion. And they have told me, if people want help learning how to do this, we're available to help.
Have you reached out to Independence County commissioners by chance?
We're not reaching out. If somebody calls us and asks us, that's fine.
Fair. That's fair.
Monday night, I was down in Little Rock with a group of 40 people, and we had the ballots on the table, and they were learning how to count ballots. People from Pulaski County and from Saline County. And so, out in like we're in the boondocks. I say Searcy County, we're in the hinterlands, we're out there, right? Yes, it's beautiful, and I don't want to live anywhere else. But in those counties, I know that there are lots of people who want paper ballots. Get together and start learning how to count ballots. Learn how to hand count.
Take some ownership of your government.
Get going.
Process.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
It's a mantra to live by.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, I enjoy every time I get to hang out with you a little bit. It's a good time. And thanks so much for tuning in. And of course, it'll be recorded. You can follow up with it. If you liked what, share it, send it out. You can go to bryannorris.org for more information. With that being said, we're going to roll out of this one. We'll see you next week at 6 p.m. Thanks, team.